this is quite a scenario, and what you kind of need to find is either a team that's needing that major last boost to go for it, or is in need of having somebody because they're hurt, they're banged up in that room, or just to give a breath of fresh air to that room right into a playing season to let everyone know, go get them. Again, that's an expensive go get them in terms of draft capital and in terms of money. And so I haven't sat here and looked at everybody's draft capital for 2024, nor have I gone through the capology of it. But I've identified these 5 teams. Okay. One of them is Miami, okay, because they didn't get Dalvin Cook and they didn't get Zeke. I don't think they were on the Zeke trail. They might have been, but they were definitely on the Dalvin trail, or at least Dalvin was on their trail. And you look at their room, and they got 2 guys on their depth chart with the dreaded red letter Q next to them. Miami is opening the season right here in Los Angeles, just down the 105 speed freeway from this studio at SoFi Stadium. Miami's opening up at the Chargers. Jeff Wilson Jr. and Devin Achane are questionable as of right now. Again, 2 weeks, but Achane is week to week with a shoulder injury. Yikes. Raheem Mostert is there. Salman Ahmed is there as well. Ahmed, we've seen him run. We've seen him play. You want to get Jonathan Taylor? You see what's going on with the Jets? You see what the Bills have done and are doing? Do you want to get him? That sure seems to me would be a major move by the Dolphins right at the outset of the season to say, we are going to win this division. We just need to just keep the point total where it is. And if you are going to try and stop the track meet at wide receiver, here comes Jonathan Taylor at you. And then Vic Fangio, our new defensive coordinator, is going to slice a touchdown per game off of our points given up total.
And if you're Jonathan Taylor, you look at Mike McDaniel and the Kyle Shanahan and the whole Shanahan zone run scheme, that's a place you should want to go.
And no state taxes.
That's a 2,000-yard season incoming.
Another one is Denver. Would Denver do this? When you're in this division, and we know the defending Super Bowl champs are in this division, we know you need to control a game in this division to keep number 15 on the sideline getting antsy. Then you need to make sure that the Chargers don't go on some sort of track meet with you, and you want to balance things for Russ. What did Russ have in Seattle? A running game that I think led to the whole let Russ cook situation. Now they have Javonte Williams back coming off of a knee injury, and the Jets decided to say, hey, we'll get Dalvin Cook to make sure Breece Hall doesn't have the whole load on him. Samaje Perine there is there, though. And you know, Bengals fans will let you know. Last couple of years, he had some nice runs and some nice run when Mixon wasn't in. Tyler Batty and Tony Jones Jr. is there as well. Chicago. Do the Bears go for it?
Whew.
Did they go for it? They sure have the draft capital. We know that. And it would be ironic, again, that the Bears take the draft capital that they got from Carolina, and Carolina had a lot of that draft capital because San Francisco gave it to them for McCaffrey. And so eventually the second generation of these picks from McCaffrey winds up bringing Jonathan Taylor to Chicago and a contract to Jonathan Taylor that he wants. Bears fans would adore him. He would be the toast of that town. And however, they've got Khalil Herbert, who we saw go on a nice run after catch. He's pretty darn good. How about Dante Foreman?
He was nice at the end of last year.
He was. Rashawn Johnson, Travis Homer as well. Do they just want to go with that and keep building? Don't make some bold, big move right now on the outset of the season. I've got one for you. I don't think they have the picks or the desire to do this. But what about the Los Angeles Rams saying, let's bring Jonathan Taylor here just when you think we have run out of picks and we don't want to make this move money-wise? And I don't know if they have the desire for it. Again, I'm just saying Cam Akers, Kyron Williams, Zach Evans, Ronnie Rivers. How about let's go Jonathan Taylor for Matthew Stafford and Cooper Kupp, Van Jefferson. Let's see what's going on there. Again, I don't know if they're going to do it, but this wouldn't be a bad spot for Jonathan Taylor to come and say, okay, everybody thinks it's a Seattle-San Francisco division. Sean McVay, you want to dial up plays for Jonathan Taylor? You want to give him 20, 25 carries? Remember what it looked like with Gurley?
Looked real good.
Yeah.
You remember what it looked?
It was on a Hall of Fame trajectory for a minute.
Well,
won me a fantasy title.
You know, they had a couple of running backs in their Super Bowl run, right? As well.
Malcolm Brown was in there.
Well, they had Sony Michel making some runs as well. What about Dallas?
I was waiting for this one.
No brainer.
I don't know. Because I'm sure Jerry's looking at that cap and going, we got Zeke's contract. Adios. We're finally through that. And everyone points to the Zeke contract as the contract
kind of set things into turmoil.
That set things into turmoil on the running back front.
Well, it was Gurley's too. It was Gurley, then Zeke, back to back.
Back to back.
You know, it kind of broke the bank for running backs. It caused all these teams to kind of pause and wonder if this is the best course of action.
By the way, I forgot to mention C.J. Anderson for the Rams.
That's what I was thinking about.
Tony Pollard, Rico Dowdle is currently second on the depth chart at DallasCowboys.com.
And then with the Rico.
Malik Davis, Ronald Jones is suspended. Deuce Vaughn.
Deuce Vaughn is the number two.
Well, I mean, you know, and again, he's in this. His drafting is an incredible part of this Roku channel documentary. The pick is in.
Oh, yeah.
That's awesome. But, you know, the one team that could use Jonathan Taylor the most. It's simple.
The Colts.
It's the Indianapolis Colts.
Yeah. I was going to say.
It's the Indianapolis Colts.
The team that currently employs him.
Zach Moss has got the dreaded Q next to his name. Deion Jackson. Evan Hull, who they drafted. And there's an interesting part about Deuce Vaughn's drafting in this documentary. The pick is in on the Roku channel on Friday. Is, you know, the Colts drafted Evan Hull in front of him. And you watched how that affected his dad, Chris, who's a scout for the Cowboys. It's really incredible. But the Colts could use Jonathan Taylor the most. He's already in the building. He's been in their program. The number 28 jerseys have been flying off the shelves, I'm sure. They need him. Anthony Richardson needs this guy. The mesh point with these two studs in the backfield, you will not know who's got it. And if Anthony Richardson has it and he finds Pittman and Alec Pierce and those 7-foot-tall tight ends that they have, this is what Richardson needs. This is what Shane Steichen needs. This is what he can bring to the table from Philadelphia. Now, you can also sit here and say Philadelphia had 15 running backs who would score. You know, but I don't know if Boston Scott and Kenneth Gainwell are walking through that door. You know, I don't know. Can Zach Moss do it? I mean, Bills fans might be able to answer that question. Deion Jackson, really? We're going to go into the season because you're making a stand. How about finding out later? Because I believe, again, Chris Ballard, we try to get him on this program to help promote the documentary because he's The Colts are widely featured in this documentary, but understandably, he's not going to make calls and do media right now.
Got some other issues.
Because, any sort of statement or non-statement or, denial or non-confirmation can change the dynamic here. But I believe this has reached the point of, man, we love you. And we're going to do a contract after this year with you. But not before. That's just not going to happen. We love you, but it's just not going to happen. And I'm sure they've laid out their reasons why. But this just has the feel to me of, we love you. If you want out, there's the door for you to go find it. And if you find the spot that's willing to pay you, we'll talk compensation with them. And we're already hearing, and Ian Rappaport will join us in hour 3. What is the compensation? Is it so high and or potentially onerous to another team that they won't make the trade? How will that leave Jonathan Taylor feeling maybe, just maybe, they sprinkle a little Irsay dollars on top and find the number that has him ready to take himself off the physically unwilling to perform list. Just move off the physically unwilling to pay list a little bit. Because, man, I honestly, I looked at all this 2 weeks before the season for all of these teams that he might be a fit for. There's not one that just jumps out at you where they can win a Super Bowl and their running back just went down Teddy Bridgewater style. Like, that doesn't exist. Perhaps it will after this final preseason weekend, and I'm not rooting for that at all, and I'm sure Jonathan Taylor isn't either. But that might change the dynamic. That might change the dynamic. But right now, there's one team where it jumps off the page that needs Jonathan Taylor, and it's the one that has him.
Wouldn't even have to change his mailing address.
I'm telling you. You don't have to change the GPS settings in your car. Catch the Rich Eisen Show every single day on the Roku channel, 12 to 3 Eastern, for free.